Hi everyone and welcome to Super Cloudbuilt. Are you ready for some rocket parkour? Well, before we get to that, let's take a look at what makes the movement mechanics in Super Cloudbuilt special. This is a playground level. Here you can roam around freely, try out mechanics and test different techniques. Super Cloudbuilt's movement mechanics are very responsive, meaning that a slight input on a stick gives an instant reaction. But the real game changer is the physics-based part of the mechanics. Unlike most other platformers or parkour games, Cloudbuilt's mechanics are actually physics-inspired, meaning that we are relying on momentum, but also that there are no different states like vertical or horizontal wall runs. Instead, it's just one smooth full 360 wall run. You're in full control over every part of the movement, meaning that you have a lot of freedom, but it also means you have to earn it. In Cloudbuilt, one input equals one action. This is an important feature, meaning that there is no automation. Everything you see and accomplish is a result of your own skill. So, what does this actually mean? Well, let's take a look at the wall run. If I run straight at the wall and jump into it, I convert my forward momentum into the wall into upward momentum. If I run and jump along the wall with just a slight inward momentum, my resulting upward momentum will be accordingly low, while I will retain a lot of my forward momentum along the wall. This is true for jumping down onto walls as well, as you can see from my downward momentum on these wall runs. This is what we call the 360 wall runs, but there is more to it than that. What's even more important is the conversion of momentum between actions. If I run up on a wall and jump before I lose all my upward momentum, that momentum will carry over into the jump. Likewise, if I run up on a wall and let the momentum fizzle out before I jump, the resulting jump, well, it will be a lot lower. This conversion of momentum is true even when chaining multiple interactions, like wall running into a jump into another wall run and so on. Take this case for an instance. Running at it with perfect angles, I can get up here. If I use bad angles, it converts my momentum differently, making it hard or impossible to get up. Not only finding the combination of moves, but all the timings, angles and momentum is important if you want to be successful. There's a lot of depth here, but also a lot to learn, as most games don't really work like this. A lot of games don't really mind the momentum. They teach the player to run as long as possible on the wall before jumping to get the furthest distance. If you do that in Cloudbuilt, you will not get that far. At the end of wall run, that's where you have traveled the furthest, but also where you have the least forward momentum and upward momentum. It's actually the worst time to jump off. Mind your momentum. Jump before your upward momentum is gone, and you will get much stronger jumps. Just timing and angles can mean the difference between 1, 2, 3 jumps, building height on the wall. Or like this, 1, 2, 3, 4 and I'm up. Now that's all fine, but let's get to the juicy part. Using your jetpack. As you can see here, I can use my energy on the bottom of the screen here to build extra momentum. Pressing boost on the ground or in the air can give me an instant burst of speed, but at a great cost of energy. As you can imagine by all this talk about momentum before, this can of course be combined with all your other abilities to great effect. But just as angles and momentum and timing was important before, it's still important with a jetpack. It's just a tool to extend your abilities. Using the boost on the wall run lets me build upward momentum. If I use that momentum into a jump, I can get a very strong and powerful jump. If I use the boost to build up my momentum but lets it drop off before I jump, well, you can see how that affects my jump accordingly. Mastering these techniques and combining the jetpack with your regular parkour abilities is key to being a successful and skillful Cloudbuilt player. If you pay attention and practice a bit, they will soon become second nature and let you move around the maps freely and freely. When you eventually get there, it will feel great looking back and knowing the journey and everything you do is your own skill. But now let's go over an area in the real level where players might struggle initially, where we force them to learn and demonstrate they understand the basics of your momentum. Welcome to the level Reflection. This can be a very early level or a late one depending on how you proceed in the game. This is a bit into the level, where you get introduced to these fields that will drain your energy. This have you not rely on the jetpack that you've been using so far. It instead forces you to remember and demonstrate the basic parkour. This first wall run is not very hard, but there is actually still many ways you can fail it. Like if you run at it with a too steep angle, you will get height, but you will not get far enough to make it across. Find good angles and remember to use momentum, and you'll get across easily. This next purple area lets you use some of the energy, but don't let that fool you to think it's easier. There are many ways to clear this gap using many different techniques, but it's not quite as easy as one could initially think. It actually requires you to have good understanding of how to use your momentum to get across. Like if I run onto this wall and then loses a bit too much momentum from jumping a bit too late, and then double jump into the next wall with a bit too steep angle, and I'm far from making it. My recommended method for beginners is to use just a little bit of energy on each wall to build a little upward momentum before jumping. But for those that find this too difficult, there is an area next to it where you can learn how to use your abilities in a more controlled way. This first part you can easily clear by double jumping and then wall run. The next part has you figure out how to transit to a vertical wall run. If you don't use momentum here, your energy will not be enough to get you up. Make sure to jump in the corner to reduce the time you're using a booster on the wall and to get a little bit extra upward momentum. And just holding the boost like this will not work. The final part here, as you run over 4 walls. If I try to rely on double jumps here, I will get nowhere. My energy is only enough for 1 dash or 1 double jump. That is not enough for 4 walls. There are many ways to clear this still, but I would recommend, just like before, use a little energy on each wall to build that upward momentum into the jumps. This way you can make it across with even a bit energy to spare, leaving you some room to mess up as well. Well, with that, let's round off with a quick run to the end of the level. Well, this is just scratching the surface. If you wanted to give this a try and find your own path through the cloudscapes and hone your abilities to new levels, Super Cloudbuilt is out now for PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC. Good luck!